When my mum was in a state, I used to try and reason with her or reason her out of it and explain, what was happening and remind her where she was. And every single time it just made things worse, not better. I had no idea why, and nobody had really told me what to actually do instead. And that took me a really long time to sort of figure out. And this video is the shortcut that I wish I'd had. Let's walk through this together. So number one, using meaningful music. Music is one of the few things that can reach someone when almost nothing else can. But it can't be sort of generic background music. It needs to be something that will cut through to them. You need music from their era, specifically from their teens or their 20s, or music that holds some kind of significant meaning, like hymns and prayers, those songs that are deeply embedded in their brain. Someone who hasn't spoken, maybe for that day, or has been extremely quiet, can suddenly hum a familiar tune once they hear it. So play it in the background, play it on your phone, or use YouTube. We use YouTube a lot, and we used to watch old concerts and hymns and prayers on YouTube so that you could see something visually as well as hear it. But if it agitates them, obviously turn it off and try something else, okay? Don't continue with something if it's not helping them in any way. So number two is try to avoid sensory overload. And I know this sounds obvious, but it's such an easy one to miss because dementia makes it incredibly hard for the brain to filter out sounds. So you need to help by cutting out the background noise, a television in the corner, a radio nobody's listening to, a group conversation happening nearby. Any of that can feel absolutely overwhelming to someone living with dementia. So before you say a single word to try and calm them, just pause for a second and listen to the room that you're in. How many sounds are fighting for their attention? So simply turning off the TV or even guiding them to a quiet room if there's so much noise in that one is often more effective than adding another voice to the mix or another strategy. Number three, look for the unmet physical need. People with dementia may lose the ability to say very clearly that they're freezing or these trousers are too tight for me. Instead, they might show physical discomfort as some kind of agitation or restlessness or distress. So run through a quick mental checklist. Do they need the bathroom? Are they thirsty? Are they hungry? Is the shoes that they're wearing too tight, or the belts, is that cinching in too much for them? And then don't forget the medical issues either, because sudden distress can often be tracked back to a hidden infection, an ear infection, dental pain, or a urinary tract infection. My mum had an ear infection for a long time, and that caused her so much distress, and she couldn't explain what was wrong. We could only tell that there was something wrong through her body language. She was always grimacing, scrunching up one side of her face. We had no idea what it was. We took her to the dentist. We took her to the doctor. I think it was only the third or fourth visit that we finally found out that it was some kind of ear infection. So do things like that. Number four is to check your own energy. This was more about you. So what you bring into the room, your presence, and your pace matters more than your words. Your loved one is able to mirror your mood. So if you walk in anxious, rushed, or frustrated, they'll pick up on that energy and then instantly reflect it back to you. If you're stressed, step out for 30 seconds or a minute. Take a deep breath, drop your shoulders, and then come back in. It sometimes helps. I used to do this with my mum. I would step out of the room for a minute or two, do something, try and bring my sort of tension down, slow the pace, because I was, if you're caring, there's a lot of things that are going on that you're trying to do. So you might get a little bit rushed and that comes across. So I would take that minute and then I would come back in and my mum would just be surprised to see me. She would be like, "Oh, I haven't seen you all day. Where have you been?" It just, that smile, that feeling, it just calmed the whole situation down. She was calmer, I was calmer. So it really does make a real difference to just take those few minutes to step out and then come back in. What I'll do is I will link in the comments below. There's an article that I've written about 6 simple breathing exercises that you can use to reset. So try that. The other thing that you can try is, don't forget about touch, A slow, gentle hand massage with sort of lavender lotion can also help. It can help them relax with you, and it can also help you relax. But obviously, if they don't like it, stop again. It's something I like to do with my mother in terms of helping her to relax, but then she also liked to massage my hands. It gave her something else to focus on as well. Number 5, step into their reality. I know that this is a tough one because it goes against all of our natural instincts, having to step into a reality that's not true. But if somebody is frantic because they need to pick up their kids from school, reminding them that their kids are now like 50 years old will just make them suspicious of you, and it's not going to help them. So instead, validate the feeling, let them talk about it, and then you can gently pivot by saying something like, "Oh, I forgot, the school called and they said that they're running late today. So let's have a cup of tea first. And while we wait, I can call John and maybe he can pick them up. He's got a car." So you aren't arguing facts about them. You're basically reassuring them that somebody is looking after that anxiety for them, and that will help reduce their stress. Number 6, give them a familiar sort of task, because sometimes agitation is just often restless energy looking for some kind of outlet. Give their hands a familiar job to do. Make sure the activity feels appropriate and it's not patronizing. Use things from their sort of adult life that they're familiar with, like have them help with dinner prep, setting the table, chopping vegetables, chopping up or snapping the green beans. The goal isn't perfect chore, it's just something that can feel soothing for them and reinforce that muscle memory. Even going through like your perfume collection together, smelling familiar scents that they know and are so familiar to them. That can help with any kind of anxious energy that they may be feeling. And then the reality is number 7. Sometimes you just have to ride out the storm. And I know this is agonizing for caregivers because you feel entirely responsible for fixing the distress. But sometimes trying different strategies, throwing multiple things at them at the same time, could just make the anxiety so much worse. If they're physically safe, then just lower the lights or sit down quietly nearby them and just ride out the storm. Read a book quietly or try reading the book to them as well. That helped with my mum. And if you've got family members that are crowding around or in the space, just ask them to step out, because just sitting and holding a calm, quiet space without trying to fix is a real sort of caregiving skill. But I know that sometimes it can get a little bit too much. So you can also swap the energy in the room and have someone else sit with them for a while. Sometimes when it became just too much and I wasn't able to calm, then I would call my brother and he would walk in all fresh, happy and bright, and he would say something very simple. Always worked. I don't know why. "Mum, can't cook. Can you tell me how to make your spaghetti bolognese?" And then off she went. She would talk through the whole recipe with him, be really animated and calm and excited. And I think it was just seeing somebody fresh that she loved and she could be useful to him that helped calm her. So those are the type of things that you can try and enact in your own life to help calm someone you love with dementia. But before I finish, let's quickly go over the things that I would suggest you don't do, because our natural reactions, they kick in almost always backfire. So obviously don't use logic. Dementia damages the reasoning centers of the brain. So arguing just can frustrate everyone. The second thing is to stop asking questions. Stop firing off. What's wrong? What can I do? Why are you being like this? Whatever. It just causes too much noise and overwhelm for somebody living with dementia. Thirdly, I know it's obvious, don't raise your voice. Shouting doesn't make anything, clearer to anybody with dementia. It's just really a form of aggression. And before you say, I wouldn't, you might not even notice it, honestly. It might not feel like you're shouting, but I bet you that you've raised your voice a few octaves probably. So just be aware of that and be wary of that. And also try and avoid changing plans suddenly without warning, because it can feel really disorientating, or rushing them through a task also causes anxiety and distress. And lastly, if they're not in any immediate physical danger, obviously don't block or restrain them, as that can trigger a panic response from them, and that could be much worse. So remember, these are all just starting points. Every person with dementia is unique. So what works maybe today might not work tomorrow, and that's not your fault. That's just caregiving. It's all about trial and error and having immense patience, to be honest. If this has helped, then watch my next video on the screen above me somewhere up here. It will be about how to talk to someone with dementia, because the way that you communicate can really make a lot of a difference with a loved one with dementia. And if this video has brought you some clarity today, then hit the like button so other caregivers can find it. And let me know in the comments what is the one strategy that works for your loved one. Subscribe for more compassionate caregiving advice. Take a deep breath. Give yourself some grace. I'm Kat. I cared for my mum with dementia for the last 13 years, and I share my lived experience. So thank you so much for watching. And hopefully I will see you in the next one. You take care. Bye.